Hey everybody, I just wanted to make this quick video. I discovered a method of connecting enderpearl stasis chambers in such a way that uh, it allows you to trigger any one that you want no matter where they are in your world. I know I'm not the first one to do this. I've seen some stuff like this online. There's like one made by Verwave on YouTube, which uses minecarts and tickets. There's one by Potato Noir, which uses cat mechanics, but they both have some drawbacks, and I think this method kind of corrects for those. So I wanted to share them with you today, and just to make sure. So this works in this works in vanilla. I have Fabric right now, but it works in vanilla, and everything past 1.21.2, everything past that it should work. So yeah. Fontajo from the future here. I just wanted to tag this in and explain how like the difficulty of creating such a system isn't not in the teleporting, but it's in the menu actually, because this kind of a thing where you have as many choices as you want to teleport to, you have to create some sort of menu, and that menu needs to be in game. It needs to be accessible anywhere in the world. The menu has to have some way of displaying all of the possible locations, and it has to be easy and somewhat quick to use. So you have to have all of those things. I think my method checks all the boxes, and as a cherry on top, it's quite easy to build. It doesn't require a whole lot of redstone either. It's also flexible. It gives you the option to add as many locations as you want within reason. So anyways, given all that, let's go back to the video. Let's go ahead and demonstrate it. So let's say I'm here in the end. I'm really far away, right? And let's say I want to go back to the base. I need some more glass blocks or something. So let's give it a second here. I'm just not cutting this to prove that I'm not messing with you guys. Okay, there we go. And at this specific timing, you guys will probably maybe figure it out, but at this specific timing, I'm going to go ahead and pause it. I'm going to save and quit, and then I'm going to come back, relog. And just like that, I have been teleported far, far away back to my base. Go ahead and load that back in there, and now I can go to my storage and get my blocks. So I don't actually need to get my blocks, but so let's keep going. Let's go somewhere else. Let's say I want to go to my quarry and do some mining. Well, I can do that. Let's go ahead and open up F3 again. And let's go to the quarry. So I wait around a little bit, try to figure out what I'm doing here. Pause it at a specific time. Go ahead and quit. Come back. And just like that, I'm somewhere else. Again, I go ahead and load that back in there, and I'm here. All right, let's go ahead and head back to the to my main base here. Save and quit. Come back. And here I am. All right, so let's go ahead and show you how this works here. First, I need to go to a place that I like to call the CPU. This all starts with the hopper clock here. It has a certain number of items. Mine has 28. These can all be customized, by the way, but mine has 28. And then when this redstone block turns this on, it creates a number of pulses that's consistent. Those pulses are sending out minecarts for just a brief period of time that are then being immediately picked up. And then it pauses for a little while, and then it goes back to doing that. So the sole purpose of this is to make the menu. And in this instance, the menu that I use is the F3 screen itself. And in particular, these numbers right here. These are the entity counts for the server. So it's taking all of the entities that are in loaded chunks in your current dimension. So for me right now, it's in the overworld. These are telling me how many entities are being loaded by loaded chunks. Now, if you watch closely, those numbers tick up and down right with the minecarts, you see. That is our menu. So this is the menu, and by design, each consecutive pulse here is going to line up with a different teleporter around the world. So that's kind of how this all works here. Let's go see how those teleporters work. So the teleporter here is made of a few parts. So first, Frostwalker boots and the water. You might have seen this before. This is essentially a login detector. So when the player logs into the world, these Frostwalker boots turn the water into ice, which then gets detected by the observer here, and then that shoots a signal over to this observer. However, it's only when this piston is extended like that that the signal actually gets down to this trapdoor and teleports the player. So all we have to do is make another hopper clock with the same number of items as the CPU clock, and then set off the hopper clock so that when it fires, it pushes the piston precisely when we want to in this like menu of pulse windows here. So you can count, there's a bunch of pulse windows that happen, but only during a specific pulse does this particular piston fire. You'll watch, there's a pulse, the second pulse, there it goes. So on the second pulse, when I log out and then I come back, this will activate and that'll also activate. So both have to happen at the same time for this signal to reach the trapdoor and teleport me here. And of course, when you're making more of these teleporting devices around your world, you want to set the pistons to extend at different windows. If you set them to extend at the same windows, then you'll just get teleported to both locations. And that wouldn't be bad, but it is bad because it's going to leave one of your locations, the first one that you teleport to, unloaded, because it's gonna send you there, delete the end portal or the ender pearl, and then send you to the second one like instantly. And then so this one, you know, would be unloaded for a second or for a while until you got back. And so it's gonna throw that off, but you'll just have to set it off again. So just make sure that, you know, these are at different windows to avoid confusion there. So for clarification, if you have more items in this hopper clock, it's going to mean a longer overall cycle. And if you have a shortened delay here, it's going to mean faster pulses, so shorter pulse windows here. So the way that I have it set up is just the Goldilocks zone for me, where, you know, it's not too slow. I don't feel like I have to wait that long to you know, get the right cycle, and it's also not too fast where I feel like I could miss or I could mess it up or something and get sent to the wrong location. So it's all personalized. Can do you, yeah. So yeah, that's that. Now let's talk about the end dimension here. There's a reason why this overworld clock is by an end portal. We have to remember that all teleporters and their login detectors stay loaded constantly, regardless of their location or dimension. So if you relog while in the end, all of those Frostwalker detectors, no matter where they are, they're all going to still output a signal. And while this allows you to teleport across dimensions, it also means that if you ever plan on logging off in the end, you need the exact same CPU menu in the end. Now, you also have to line it up with the CPU, but it's not too difficult. If you just go ahead and follow the same delays, especially this one. So this is an initial delay. I have 2 repeaters on full and then an extra repeater on 1 tick before it hits the the clock here before it hits the pulse clock. I mean, make sure you follow that, and then this just also emits a redstone signal over to this dropper here, and this will drop an entity through the portal. Let's go through and see what's going on here. So when you set off that overworld CPU clock, it will also set off your end clock. Now you have to have this pre-built, preloaded as well with the ender pearls. I happen to build this between 4 chunks, so I have 4 pearls loading all the chunk. But essentially, yeah, when you start the overworld clock, it'll automatically shoot an item here, right in the middle of this platform. And then if I can get in here, so I didn't really plan this very well. If I get in here, and I'll show you here, there's a minecart with hopper, and goes into a hopper here. And then that hopper is being, screw it, I'm just gonna break all my stuff. I gotta show you this. Hopper is being detected, and then it's getting to a torch, 1 repeater, and then that repeater powers this hopper clock right here. Same number of items as all of the other hopper clocks, and then that goes straight into the pulse clock. So I would recommend just following what I'm doing here. It is pretty simple. Just follow what I have here in terms of delays, and then also with the observer on the end here, and a repeater going to the rest of these dispensers that are all. It looks really confusing. I'm sorry, I did not build this with the idea that I would be demonstrating it. Sorry, but yeah, observer here, and then 1 more repeater going to all of the dispensers with the minecarts. That should time it out to where all of the minecarts are dispensed at the exact same time that the overworld minecarts are being dispensed, and so everything should be good. If you're having problems with it, if you happen to have a second account, that's kind of what I used to workshop this. Is I just had my second account over here in the end, making sure that everything is timed up perfectly, because it has to be timed up really perfect. But yeah, if you follow all of that delay, it should be good. I've tested it a couple times and it's worked every time. So, but yeah, if you have any questions on this, feel free to ask in the comments. This is the most confusing part of the thing, is getting this clock to be in sync with the overworld clock. So if you have any questions, let me know in the comments. Happy to help. But once you have this all set up, you're pretty much free to build as many teleporters as you want in the end as well. As long as the teleporters in the end are also in different windows from the teleporters in the overworld. So it still has to follow the same rules here. You can't overlap windows, because like I said, doesn't matter what dimension you're in, all of the teleporters are going to activate when you log back in. So even the overworld ones, they're all going to activate. With all that being said, let's go ahead and demonstrate going back one more time so you can see it all in action again. Maybe you understand everything, maybe not, it's all good. So we're looking at these numbers here. We're just waiting for those pulses. 1, 2, about there, yeah. Leave the game, come back, and there we are. And we're gonna put that right back. This is a really good setup for interpearl stasis chambers, by the way. I've seen people dig really long holes down, like 6 blocks down. Just use that honey block, man. Just use the honey block and the anvil to line yourself up. You gotta go up on the edge of the anvil like you see, and then drop it straight down, and it works pretty much every time. I feel like that's pretty much everything, but I do want to emphasize that it's if you're trying to do this, it's crucial that both the teleporters here and the CPUs, both the end and the overworld, are always being loaded by ender pearls. They need to always be in sync. If one is loaded without the other, they'll get off time, which is the same reason why you can't use portal chunk loaders for this function. You have to have ender pearls in the chunks. Reason being, you're using portal chunk loaders, there's always going to be a split second where the chunk isn't loaded until some entity is shot through the portal, and that split second is going to add up over time, and it's going to throw everything off. Pearls, on the other hand, they load their chunks like immediately upon relogging, and that's going to keep all the clocks in sync, so you don't have to worry about that. This is also why it's complicated to build this in multiplayer, because you need to make sure all of these chunks, the teleporting and the CPU chunks, are either loaded or unloaded. And if you're dealing with a bunch of other players, someone might load, for example, one of your teleporters while you're offline. And if someone's loading a teleporter and they're not loading the CPU, because your pearls aren't going to be there because you're offline, that's how those work, then everything's going to get thrown off. Nothing's going to work when you get back. It's going to be a bad time. So maybe there's a way to get it going. I'd love to see somebody take this idea and make it work for multiplayer, but I'm a single player guy. I don't really, I'll let somebody else do that. And this is also, the pearls being a necessary part of this is also why it's hard to build this in the Nether. I haven't yet found a consistent way to keep chunks pearl loaded without water. I've seen a bunch of designs by pretty notable people actually, but all of them break if you relog at just the wrong time. So you'd also need a different version of the login detector, because this uses water as well. But if you can solve all that, there's nothing stopping you from doing this in the Nether. Just remember that you'll need another CPU in the Nether as well if you end up doing that. But yeah, I think that's pretty much all I have. If you have any questions or ideas on a way to optimize my design, please leave a comment. Other than that, thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the next Font to Joe video whenever that happens to occur. I do not plan these things, so subscribe, like. All right.